TYFU.
Now we can really let it rip.
You've been saving up.
We can really get into it. Hello, Beth.
Hello, Marilla. Do you have any business you want to attend to before we open up the envelope?
Oh, do we have any business?
Welcome new listeners. Refer them to tyfupod.com.
Yes, great thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a website that you can listen to this podcast on, and you can buy merch if you want
link
to.
it to share it with your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of merchandise there and fun stuff. So,
Oh, yeah, that's the business
that's
I
a
want
good
to talk
reminder.
about. All right.
All right. So you want to rip an envelope here?
Let's rip it. Tear it up.
And I think you should read this little prompt
All right.
this week.
Our prompt this week is, you should just
Fill in the blank.
blah, 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 blah. You should just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's when customers offer us helpful suggestions.
Unsolicited.
As to how to improve our businesses. And I've noticed that people are also willing to offer us suggestions about how to improve the podcast. And
Oh, yes.
I think this is tricky, Marilla, because we actively ask people. Please send
true.
us suggestions.
We bring it on ourselves
want
with
to
the
hear
podcast.
suggestions.
It's true.
Please send in your ideas for topics. Please let us know how you are enjoying or not enjoying the podcast.
That's true.
How dare we get our backs up when people send us a suggestion that we don't like?
I have the answer.
Okay, go for it.
We want to know what people want us to talk about as far as the prompts. We want to read about your stories, your experiences as the listener. We want all of that. But we don't want you to tell us how to react to it and talk about it.
Yeah, I was sharing with someone that I know about how one of our upcoming prompts was, you should just. And they were really thoughtful and they were considerate and they sat back and thought about it for a minute and then said, you should just make up stories for the podcast. You shouldn't tell real stories.
What?
And that was a difficult one for me to hear.
Well,
because that, to me, defeats the point of having the podcast in the first place. But his point was, in our telling of real stories, we're bound to hurt feelings. In fact, I may be hurting his feelings right now.
Does he listen to the podcast?
I don't know.
All right. We're just jumping in, making waves right away.
But I think he does make a point that this is one of the struggles for the podcast is I don't really want to hurt anyone's feelings.
It's true.
But the whole point of this podcast is to reveal behind the scenes stuff and to be honest about what happens. So you should just make up stories seems so counterintuitive
and
to everything that the podcast is.
Exactly.
But you understand that he was making the suggestion out of a place of sensitivity and compassion.
Right. There's nothing wrong with the suggestion, but I say, and I have maintained this from the start, if you don't want a bad story told about you on the podcast, don't come in and act a fool in my store.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I am going to out everyone that comes in and,
You feel like it's justice and karma.
I don't know if I feel like I'm serving justice necessarily. I feel like I am just doing the Lord's work.
So you are you are embodying justice and karma.
No. In all seriousness, I feel like I am simply relating something that happened to me, truly. I'm not embellishing quite I mean, I really can't think of a time that you and I have embellished unfairly.
In fact, sometimes we'll pull it back
we play
details,
it down.
Yeah, because we don't want anybody to recognize themselves or get hurt feelings. Or things like that.
Right. And we edit out personal information that might be too much.
Revealing,
Right. And so we are honestly relaying these stories. And why am I even explaining myself?
Because this gentleman had a suggestion about how we should just make up stuff for the podcast.
Well, that was very kind of him.
Yeah, I had another suggestion come in about the podcast that I thought defeated the whole purpose of the podcast, personally.
All right, lay it on
that
me.
was like, you guys should make it a lot more businessy. Your business podcast is not businessy enough.
Womp womp. Snoozeville.
I know, but my response to that, in my head at least, was like, if somebody wants to learn how to read a P&L, this is not the podcast for you.
No, it is not.
This is, we're not going to talk about insurances, and we're not going to talk about
workers' comp.
Yeah, well, sometimes we might drop in.
Maybe. Not today. But yeah, I think that this is such a nice rest for me from the technicalities of business, like the businessy business stuff we have to do every day.
Yeah, that's not the point. That's not the point of this.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Yeah, he wanted us to give like a list of 15 helpful hints on advertising.
Not getting paid enough.
I don't even know
for
what I'm
this
talking about half the time
to give that kind of advice.
I'm not an expert on anything business.
Yeah, and perhaps just because of how talented and experienced we are, you might glean some business advice.
Drips off the edges.
Drips off the
what we're
edges.
actually talking about.
But we don't want to oversaturate. We don't want to get you guys spoiled. We don't want to spoil people.
We want you
home.
to go to Harvard Business School and not just use this as a substitute.
Right, because that's what we would be risking if we start.
We can't risk hurting Harvard that way. All right. Have you had any suggestions about the podcast? I'm certain that you've had some suggestions about your business. You should adjust this or that. What do you want to lay down on our listener?
Oh, the podcast. Any suggestions on the podcast? I mean, my mother told me I shouldn't try to be too funny.
Mm-hmm. No problem there.
No problem.
Clearly.
No. My grandmother told me I laugh too much.
Yes.
Love you, Graham.
Mm-hmm.
All constructive. You should just not do that.
You should just not be funny or try.
I'm sure that if my sisters ever listened, they would tell me what I should just do. But yeah, for the most part, I think I like what we're doing here.
Yeah, me too. And I do want people to write in with their suggestions. I think that there's a spirit of helpfulness. There's a spirit of constructive criticism that I want and I welcome. And there's also some really condescending BS that comes our way.
Maybe that's
and
the
that's
line.
the difference, right? If you just walk in, you spend 5 minutes in your store or my store, you don't know us, you don't know our goals, you don't know our history. And all of a sudden you're having a conversation with you or me at our cash registers about what we should just do.
Right.
That really, I find it quite irritating. And
it truly is.
Yeah. So any ordinary customer that I have a relationship with or any honest feedback, that's one thing.
Right.
Arrogant, mansplaining,
bulldozing.
yes, is different. So,
and boy, is it men so frequently.
Oh gosh, I hate to say it.
I know.
Can you say it? Like
I did. Maybe, I don't know. Kelly, do what you need to do to that.
I know it often is, though. It
so often
is. It's this talking down to that happens frequently.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's
type of customer.
Yeah, a certain type of customer.
We'll leave it at that.
All right. But yes, I have a couple stories. Do you want to share one, or do you want to get the ball rolling with stories here?
You go.
So when I first started, I was a wee young thing, and I totally get that people coming in the door for almost 5 years ago looked at me some days and was like, this is a college student.
Yeah, who was this teenager running the store?
Working here. And this man came in and he I can't think of the word. I'm thinking like of a swashbuckler. He had a certain gait as he walked around. A swagger, yes. He had a swagger as he walked through my store, inspecting everything and saying, oh, this is good. And this not so much. And this is good. And this not so much. And I never asked him, but he did the tour. And after inspecting my whole store, he wondered if the manager was in. That was myself. And he informed me what I should do if I wanted to make it through the winter in this town was start stocking beer brewing supplies.
That was going to save you.
Yep.
From going down the tubes.
Because he didn't know if I was familiar with the locale in this area.
Oh, right.
But really what people are looking for is beer brewing supplies. And there's no place to get them. So if I was smart, which is something that often accompanies that you should just,
sometimes do yourself a favor. And I have heard that one.
do yourself a favor. If you were smart, you should just, if I was smart, I would shift my business model from what it is to a home brewing supply company.
Have you ever seen that man before or since?
No.
Right.
Never.
So
he also said that I should be carrying seasonings that would work for jerky.
To me, it sounds like he's looking for a different store.
To me, it sounds like he's just a real gritty cowboy. He just wants to make his beer and eat his jerky and give people.
He doesn't want one of your shampoo bars.
Unsolicited. No, he doesn't want any lavender. No, he wants smoked barbecue beef sticks and a cold glass of beer. Yeah. So that was one that stays in my mind. You should just be a brewing supply company.
Yeah.
I did make it through that winter.
Yeah, clearly you're still here to tell the story.
Yep.
Right. I have a sheet full of about 20 you should just.
Oh my God.
I jotted down this past week as we were getting ready to record, but I think one of my highlights over the many years, my favorite, is when we were in our second location. And it was a 3-story building, and 2 of the stories were used for retail, and we had access to both of those.
Yes.
And there was an issue about, people finding the stairs tedious and tiresome. And
yes.
I can't tell you how many times people told me that I should just put in an elevator.
Yeah, Beth.
Yes. As if I was just going to reach in the cash register and there's, enough tens of thousands of dollars to install an elevator in a building I don't own.
You do not own.
I have a 3-year lease at that point.
Yes.
So I'm going to invest in putting in an elevator. They have no idea what kind of situation with code enforcement that would be,
complaining
or
about, Beth? Just get
the
it
landlord.
Done. If you wanted to be
would love
successful,
it if I put in an elevator. So after a while, it becomes like, is this a real conversation? Because I've already had this conversation 15 times.
Well, maybe you should have put in an elevator.
Right. And it's such a time waste. And people just love to just spew stuff out of their mouth without thinking.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. There are people who say, you should, all the time. I am asking customers what they would like to see in the store, what they would like to have refilled next, all the time. And I've gotten a lot of good ideas that way. But it's kind of like what you said earlier, that when it's a customer that you trust and supports you, it's easier to have that conversation. But then sometimes people come in and they have a you should just that is so absurd, like an elevator installation in a building you don't own, that I'm sometimes like speechless for a second, being like, should I explain to this person why it's so absurd? Or should I just like, oh yeah, that would be great.
Exactly. That's the answer. Option B is the answer.
Always.
Because they don't really want to understand.
No.
They're not listening to this podcast because this podcast is called Thank You for Understanding. And these folks don't want to understand.
No.
They don't want to do the math on that. They want you to say, oh, awesome, I'll give that some consideration. Thanks so much. Or you just do that to save your own skin because you want to get on with your life. And
what
do
if
some
one
real
time you were
work.
just like, you know what? Let's do that. And you picked up the phone and you just started dialing an elevator company. No, we're doing this. You better not leave.
Right.
We're putting it in today. Yeah. Because there's some people that get business
At that time,
and some that don't.
yeah. But at that time, the next, like, I foolishly would sometimes say, well, I don't own the building. And they'll be like, well, you should buy the building. So it's like, you should buy the building and put in an elevator.
Beth. How did you even get where you are if you cannot problem solve?
Yeah, it's just very frustrating.
Just put in an elevator. You know, fun fact. The man who owned the building before my current landlord thought he would just put in an elevator. Very, very old building. And it's 3 stories. And he thought he would just put in an elevator. And he made 2 very awkward, square, large holes in this very old building. And once all the holes were made, he realized that he could not afford to put in an elevator. So now I have the 2 most bizarre staircases in the world at Marilla's Mindful Supplies because someone just tried to put in an elevator. So one in the front is a very steep staircase. And the one in the back is actually a delightful spiral adventure. So it's harder than you think, just putting in an elevator. And I can attest.
Yeah. I think one thing that happens when people are saying you should just, I find that so often the suggestions contradict one another. Like a customer may say to me, you should just stay open later.
Oh.
Or you should just take more vacation.
Oh.
Or you should pay people more.
Oh
Or
my God.
You should pay people less.
This makes my ears spin.
You know
to
what I
hear
mean?
it. Yes.
It's like everybody has an opinion on what my hours should be, what employees should get paid.
And you know what's wild?
Yeah.
Very rarely is it a business owner.
Oh, no. Because this is another thing, and we've talked about this a little bit here and there. Everybody thinks that they know how to run a business. And all they had to do is try. Or, you know, some people
they
are
just
like,
had
I
time.
could never run a business. But everybody else is like, yeah, it's like I could write a novel. All I have to do is try. Yeah, like these idiot ladies are doing it.
These ding-dongs over
it. They're not even smart enough to put in an elevator.
Yeah, come on now.
And I can run a business.
Right, right. But, you know, as we're talking about this, have you ever been talked into a you should just by a customer that you actually liked or that you regretted? Because I have a story.
Yeah, there must have been advice that I've taken from customers over the years. All right, tell your story, because I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Well, I'll have to think of a really positive and wholesome one. But of course, the one that jumps to mind is one that I'm still dealing with to this day. I would say 1.5 years ago, I had a customer that was like, you should just have this product. You should just get these products in. This would be so cool for you to have. Like right here, I could just see it. I mean, a long time. I'm not even going to name the product, because we talked about omitting details. Yes. I'm going to omit the detail of what the product is and who it was, of course. And for a long time, this person was like, you should just have this thing. Finally, I thought, you know, I really should. just have this thing. That would be really cool. I don't know. At first, I wasn't sure if it was something that I'd be into, but I was kind of established. I was like, I'm gonna do that. That I know there's some interest, like
from this person,
if
this one person,
this one person. And so I got these in, and it was a product that you have to make a little bit of an investment to get in. So I have all this inventory, and don't you know, the company that it came from was just such a trial to work with. Number one, they didn't sell as well as I would have hoped. I really had to work to move them. I still have some in my store a year and a half later, which I don't like doing that, really. And I should not have just, as it turns out. And now, do I blame that customer? Absolutely not. I should have never.
I'm sure that they won't suggest it to you unless they believe in it.
Of course.
Really think
and to be fair,
with it.
They did try to come in and get that item, but then they decided that none of the items that I had chosen were really what they truly wanted when they actually saw them in front of them.
Yeah.
So they didn't even buy one.
Yeah. So the one like in the bag sale you had didn't even pan out.
Nope. Not even the one that told me I should just really worked out for me. So I did get taken for a ride there. And it was a good reminder that I know my business the best, and I know what my market is.
Yeah.
Not this person, even if they're, very supportive and the best intentions. I'm the one who's doing the day in and day out. And so I think it's important to find your North Star when you're getting a lot of you should justs.
Yeah.
You can't say yes to all of them, even if some of them are seemingly good ideas.
I thought of one that has been good.
Okay.
And we have a listener. I'm going to drop her name. It's Chrissy Bennett West.
Oh, Chrissy.
Yes. She told me that I should carry peepers. And she mentioned it many times. Peepers are magnifying reading glasses.
Many
and I
times.
was like, yeah, maybe.
Peepers.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. And then finally,
Chrissy.
I decided, fine, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
And I ordered them. I love them. I sell the heck out of them.
Yes.
We mentioned them on the shoplifting episode last time.
I wear them all the time.
I know. You've bought some. Yeah.
I wear them all the time.
Yeah. For the blue light filtering.
Yes.
So that was a customer suggestion.
That really worked out.
That really worked. And I'm glad I took that advice.
You really should have just. That is perfect.
Yeah. So I don't know. You win some, you lose some with these suggestions from the customers.
Right. And sometimes you just have to roll the dice. But other times you just say, oh, yeah, that would be great.
I'll give that some thought. Thank you so much. I'll give that some thought. Thank you so much.
Great idea. Yep.
I did have a customer recently tell me that I should switch back to plastic shopping bags instead of using paper. I thought you would love that one.
How dare they? In this economy?
Yeah, but they didn't want their stuff getting wet in the upstate
don't
New
they
York
know
weather.
that you offer the service to come out and cover it with your body?
Put it under your shirt is what I said, like the shoplifters do.
You should I have a lot of people just ask me if I have a plastic bag for that.
And you're like, have you met me?
It's like,
have you seen the brand?
Remember when we did, let us harken back to the episode where we talked about, it must be free. That is my, it must be free. People come up to the register, they get all their things together and they're like, oh, well, do you have a plastic bag for that? And I've heard it probably 70,000 times now. It's not funny anymore. Just in case anyone is wondering.
Yeah, you're a plastic free shop. I think it says it right on your window, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, they know. It's all for it's a bit. It's a bit.
Okay. Oh, it's a joke?
Yes, Beth.
Oh, I didn't get it.
Right, exactly.
Well, I try not to be funny on our podcast.
Oh, good. Because my mom said you should just avoid that. Oh, man. Yeah. What else? Somebody told me I should just franchise.
Yeah, just franchise.
I should just franchise.
Was
Why
that
wouldn't
me?
I?
Did I say that?
It was Beth.
Yeah. Now listen, I just suggested a product to you today. Did you get mad when I did?
Oh,
Did you feel
that's
angry?
True. Let's share that. A little ASMR moment here. You like that, Kelly?
I handed you a box.
We walk in to do an episode on You Should Just, and my beloved co-host hands me a box for a product that I should just carry.
Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome, by the way.
Thanks. I did not get mad.
Why not?
But I will tell you.
Did you like the
in
hair
my
stand up?
brain?
You're like, I'm uncomfortable.
You got me a little. I was not mad, but if we're being completely candid, I was thinking when you said, I haven't even told our listener what it was.
Okay.
All right, everybody. She gave me a box for a shampoo bar, which I do carry. Okay.
Yep.
And there's many different ones on the market. So when you gave it to me and you said that this shampoo bar suds up beautifully like a regular shampoo, that's what got me, I think. Just a little. I was like, mine suds up beautifully. Beth. To be fair, Beth was not the one who had tried this shampoo bar. Someone had given it to you.
Somebody gave me the box, said they love this product.
Yes.
I was like, oh, it's plastic free. Marilla may not want to know about this.
I do.
Marilla should just know about this.
Should.
Yeah.
I should. I should. And so, yes, I wasn't angry, but there sometimes, even when it's a good idea and someone says to you, oh, you should just.
Oh, I hear this all the time. You should just carry this book.
Right. Doesn't it? Like, even if it's a perfectly great idea, sometimes it makes you prickle just because you didn't think of it first.
I have 3,000 books in this store.
It's not good enough
don't tell
for
me what
you.
I should just carry.
Yeah.
How about all these other books that I just carry?
Right.
A lot of times people think I should just carry the New York Times bestseller list. And I feel like, why? You're just going to buy it on Amazon anyway.
Yeah.
We have to.
This is uncovering a whole layer of like the personal.
Oh, yes.
Because we haven't even really gotten into that. We got into the business part of it. For you who wants more business advice, we got into like the business of it and the practicality of it. But
how do we feel personally?
Yeah,
what do you get? What's your angle?
Personally, I just mean like you just said, sometimes when someone comes in and says you should just, even if it's a great idea, you have that feeling of, is all this work I'm doing for you not good enough? Like, is this not
that is there?
What I'm giving you?
Yeah.
Is it not good enough for you?
If you serve somebody dinner, I had you over for dinner and I serve you a 7-course meal and you're like, yeah, but where's the peas?
Yeah.
Or
you should just do an 8-course meal.
Have you thought of it?
Yeah.
Have you thought of just doing 8 courses?
Yeah, right. There's something about it that if you're not careful, you can slip into almost a resentful state. And I don't go there very often, but like you can easily see how that can come about. And it's toxic. I don't recommend. But but still.
But that is the kind of thing that can eat at your soul. And the poor, unassuming customer has no idea.
And no ill intention.
Yes. And they're just like, hey, I'd like to see this in your store. And they could be so authentic and warm about it.
Right.
And it's still a little bit triggering.
Right.
Unless we're careful to
So
do our work, our mental health work.
Right. If you're a business owner sitting at home and you feel guilty about feeling prickly when someone gives you a perfectly nice suggestion, you're not alone. Like, I think that's pretty normal.
Well, are we doing that right now? Luckily we can be turned off literally if we're doing that to our business owner listeners. But
oh my God.
You are just suggesting you should just do some mental health work. You should just do some therapy. You should just check yourself before you get all right.
We're in our heads.
I know.
Well, I guess that's the end.
I know Where do we go from here? We've dug ourselves a complete hole. And it was great having a podcast with you.
Live your life however you want.
Yeah.
No,
I have one time I was talking to somebody who told me out in the field, I ran into somebody who was listening to our podcast.
Ooh.
And telling me how much they enjoyed it, which was great. And then we got into a discussion about their business and and all of a sudden I heard myself saying, have you thought about this? And I instantly felt like I don't want to be that guy.
Oh, you were so self-aware.
Well, maybe it was the look on her face when I started giving her truly unsolicited business advice. But I don't know. I thought we were talking about her business, and I had an idea. So
Yeah.
I did it. I was that person.
Yeah, you're a self-aware queen.
I don't know about that.
I do it all the time. I know I do it all the time, which is part of what helps me to check myself and not get my nose bent out of shape when someone does it to me. Because I know that tomorrow I'm going to do it to somebody, again, with good intention. But I'm going to be that guy. And I have some business owner friends that all we do is sit down and tell each other what we should be doing.
Well, you and me kind of do that sometimes too.
Right. So I know that I do it. So I applaud you for being able to be like,
yeah, I'm going to
stop.
take a step backwards there. If if this woman wanted me to give her business advice, she would be asking, can you give me some advice on this?
Yep.
But that's not what was happening. So I really did feel badly about that.
What we should do is just continue to talk about what other people should do from the fortress of our podcast and not say it to their faces.
Yes, and they can then turn us off if we're too annoying and obnoxious.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do you have any other biggies that you want to drop concerning?
Oh, gosh. I think the only other biggie that I get frequently, and it kind of becomes one big monster you should just that makes me laugh, is that people will come in and they'll say, you should just do this thing or have this product that is extremely high waste and packaged in plastic. And they're not saying, you should have a plastic free version of it. They're saying, I wish I could just get this plastic thing at your store. And again, it's nice. They want to be supporting me. But it's such a miss.
It misses the point.
I don't know what to say to it except I mean, do I have to explain to you my whole ethos? Am I missing that hard? But yeah, through the years, I've had a lot of you should just that don't even make any sense. It would be like somebody coming in and telling you that you should just carry seed potatoes. Why?
Yeah. I don't know if sometimes I feel like people don't realize the size of the footprint of the building that we're into. Now, I literally can't carry everything.
Oh, right. Right.
Whether it's on or off brand, there's only so much room in this building.
Right.
And I would love it if I was an Amazon warehouse or a Walmart and I had that many thousands of square feet.
You didn't have to pick and choose.
Yeah. And could make everybody happy all the time. But you and I both have to very carefully curate what we offer. And the things that we curate are based both on square footage and on mission.
Right.
So we have to be really selective. Right. And you could just print that out on a card. And every time somebody makes a suggestion you don't like, you just hand them the card. So then you don't have to get involved necessarily.
Saves a lot of time. Efficient. And that is another piece of business advice.
But you don't want to give out a card because that's against the ethos because of that paper.
We'll do a QR code.
Okay, good idea. You should just, Marilla, hand out a card.
You can't. I mean, it's human nature.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
And it's because we want to be helpful.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's because we care.
So don't let it get to you.
And customers, please keep doing it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know? Just, I guess,
Do not give us any
a little
rest.
space to say no. No, thank you.
Right. If you have come in and you have told us what we should just do and years have gone by and we have not just done it, please trust us that there's a reason for that. Because we love you and we would like to do all
stupid.
the things. Yeah, it's because we're dumb.
Okay. So do you think that, you know, for customers who do have generous and kind intentions, but might be phrasing something in a way that's kind of icky feeling for us, do you think that there's a way that they could lead into it that would be easier for us to hear?
You know, the customers that have really good ideas.
Yes, that we want to hear and,
So that
and
they
we
can
would
approach
welcome.
us prickly shopkeepers with.
You know, and we don't punch them. We just hug them instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can do that as the customer? Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would hope so.
Yes. I mean, one thing for me, I try to make a habit of using social media to harvest some suggestions and good ideas. So one answer is pay attention to the shopkeeper for when they ask you. Like sometimes we ask and sometimes that can look like a social media poll or a question or something like that. But also I find I'm usually pretty warm to people coming up to me and saying, I'm looking for blank. Is that something you've ever thought about or used to have or would have? Because I'm looking for this and I'd love to find it here. And again, sometimes it's not always something that makes sense, but I don't prickle at that. That feels like you're looking for it and you want to find it with me. Is that possible? And then it opens the door for a conversation.
Right. Right. It's more like we are in service, and if they are asking for us to help them find this product, we respond really well to that, right?
Yes.
Even if it's
we're
not
great at
with
service.
us. Like, yes, we'd love to help you find it. How often have you suggested to a customer, no, I don't carry that, here's why, but here's where you can find it, or here's an alternative product, or here's blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I also like when people assume that we might have thought about something, in the many years that we've been doing this, running our shop.
Yes.
If they were to launch with, I'm sure you've thought about this, but I was wondering, why is it?
Yeah. I
That's-
guess when you want to have a conversation and you're not just
Lecturing.
a one-off lecture or condescending to just tell us to boss us around in our own store. We're the boss. Remember that. When you come to us willing to have a conversation, it feels very kind and like you trust
that we know what we're doing. And yeah.
And then we trust you too as a customer. Like
Yes.
you start to build a rapport that's very positive, as opposed to just being like, you should wash your hair more often.
Yeah, it's always what kind of relationship do you want to have? What kind of relationship do we want to have with the customer? What kind of relationship do they want to have with us? Right. And it always, in the best circumstances, it is a mutually beneficial relationship.
Right.
It is not treating us like we're service animals.
Or dummies.
Or dummies, yeah. Service animals should be treated nicely, too.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
I don't know, that was a bad...
I'm sorry to all the brilliant service animals
Who might be listening.
Yeah, so basically there are ways that you can ask us to carry something or tell us about an idea you had for our stores without us punching you. But also, I would like to close this with saying, if you don't ask us exactly right, like if you don't approach us with a carrot on your hand with your hand flat, we will not bite your fingers off. We will still be gentle with you. It's just, we might talk about you on the podcast later. 5-star review. And I'm hungry already.
We're going to give our 5-star review this week. Well, I should precurse this by saying we have a ton of wonderful coffee options in the Finger Lakes region and in Geneva in particular. And the reason that we want to highlight Empire Coffee and Donuts this week is because they have just launched the donuts part.
The donuts.
The Empire Coffee
I want
and
like
Donuts.
a little sparkle sound around donuts.
Maybe Kelly can throw that in for us.
Yeah, they have been working so hard to get their donut operation going.
They opened some months ago.
Yes.
With the anticipation of having donuts soon. And that turned out probably to be a little trickier than anyone anticipated.
And that's how it goes.
That's how it goes when you're running a business, you know?
And right, they've been so plucky. And last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe they got their donut situation all sorted out. And I had one a couple days ago.
And how was it, Marilla?
Oh my God, I can't tell you how it was. It would be inappropriate.
It was 5 stars,
The
so you can say
sounds.
that.
It was 5-star.
Well, I have been up there. It was before they had their donuts the most recent time I was there, but I did really like the warmth, the mood, the space, the friendliness, the hours.
The hours are extended.
Yeah,
Yep.
they are open. It seems like more than should be humanly possible for the amount of staff that they have, but they're pulling it off.
That's true. You can go there after school. You can play games. They have some fun, like themed nights.
Yeah, I
They've
think
got
they have
craft
craft nights.
nights and game nights and book club, and they're having a lot of fun, and it feels fun to be in there. And now they have donuts.
Yes. So every success wished upon them, and check it out, Empire Coffee and Donuts. So I guess that wraps things up for this week.
I guess so.
I hope that our listeners will be inspired by our 5-star review for Empire Coffee and Donuts and leave us a 5-star review.
Exactly. I was just recently exhorting our listeners to give us a review. You can review us on Spotify. You can review us on Facebook. You can anywhere you want.
Right. You actually remind me what happened here.
So I logged on to our Facebook to remind our lovely listeners that they can leave us a review, and Facebook AI volunteered to do it for me.
Oh, yes.
I was like,
yes.
Well, I guess.
And as I recall, they did a great job.
Yes.
So you're like, yes, please give me a suggestion. And
It said something like, and I'm paraphrasing, or do you have it up, Beth?
wait, let me bring it up. Hold on.
It starts with morning glory.
Morning glory. Before you start your day, remember that dropping us a rating is like feeding a sad stray puppy. It makes us happy and helps us find more friends. You like puppies, right?
Right?
I don't know. I feel like that's a real guilt trip.
Oh, it's such a guilt trip. I don't know what happened to that AI, but
So,
we're leaning into it.
I guess we have no pride at all either.
No.
Like, we're pathetic.
We're just two
but
sad,
super cute.
sad, stray, cute little puppies, and we would like a review
Yes,
from you.
so please.
If you like the episode, let us know what you think. Let us know what we should just do, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Chat about the biz, it is the way it is. Thank you for understanding.
We sincerely thank you for understanding. Please visit us at tyfupod.com to learn more about the show, share prompt ideas, or tell us about your own small business experiences. We may include your story in a future episode. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at tyfupod or on tyfupod.com. Our theme song was composed by Marilla Gonzalez. The show is produced by Kelly Walker. Too bad for Kelly Walker.
No,
I'm just really an expert on how pissed I get sometimes.
right.
I can tell you all about that.